Sunraku faced the Mud Digger, but with its movement speed slowed, he wondered how he would fight it. As Mud Digger charged at him, Sunraku activated Slide Move, avoiding the attack with a dashing motion. Since his battle with Lycagon had developed some of his skills, he decided it was time to figure out how to use them. Mud Digger attacks and Sunraku uses Repel Counter, a perfectly evolved parry move that not only blocks but also counterattacks. However, with both of his skills now on a cooldown of 10 seconds, Sunraku wondered how to escape Mud Digger's next attack. When the monster attacks him, Emul uses Magic Edge, hitting the monster with a magical attack and knocking it down. Sunraku realized that he was not alone in this fight, and although it felt strange to have to rely on a stronger NPC to help him, he decided to take advantage of the opportunity. He closed in on Mud Digger, and as the monster stood, he used Screw Pierce's evolved version, Spiral Edge. After the attack, he uses Edge Climb, sticks his weapon to the monster, and climbs over it. Reaching the top of the monster, he asked Emul to unleash a Big Bang attack. The Mud Digger tries to eat them, but Sunraku uses another Repel Counter. Emul then powers up her Magic Edge, hitting Mud Digger with stronger magic and knocking him down again. However, Sunraku falls to the ground and takes 8 damage. He recovered and looked around only to find that the Mud Digger had vanished. A moment later, the ground began to tremble under his feet. Remembering Emul's words about the monster bursting out of the ground and sensing an imminent attack, Sunraku grabbed Emul and threw her. Soon after, the Mud Digger came from below Sunraku, but only threw him into the air. Sunraku was surprised because it only dealt him 5 damage. The Mud Digger is a mole-like quadruped with the head of a shark and the whiskers of a catfish. After its HP reaches a certain threshold, it activates a special moveset. It dives deep into the ground and vibrates the ground to hold players in place. It then attacks and throws one of the players in the air, leaving them to die from the fall damage. If a single player attacks it, he is always the target, which had earned Mud Digger's sobriquet, the Solo Killer. Sunraku realizes he's about to die from falling and gets angry at whoever designed the boss because the player's skill doesn't matter against fall damage. As Sunraku fell, he wondered what to do, but in the end he realized that he could do nothing and waited for death. However, Emul didn't give up and reached Sunraku for a moment before he hits the ground, activating a teleportation magic, which transported them above the Mud Digger. There is an attack in SLF called Meteor Fall, that uses downward energy. Sunraku had gained a lot of downward momentum during his free fall, and after he was teleported by Emul, the game recognized the skill. So instead of a fall death, it became a risky attack, mistake Meteor Fall. Sunraku then falls onto Mud Digger and hits him with his head. The Mud Digger gets defeated and Sunraku survives with just 1 HP left thanks to his luck. Proceeding forward, Sunraku regains some HP by chewing on medical herbs. He notes that Emul is even stronger than he expected, and that she ended up carrying him in that battle. Since they are reaching Thrash soon, Sunraku wonders about how to hide Emul, so he wouldn't draw attention to himself. Emul reveals a mysterious Vorpal bracelet, noting that she hasn't used it in a long time, and asks Sunraku not to tell anyone about it. She then uses it to transform into a human. Seeing her, Sunraku had the feeling the game was turning into a harem game with an anthro rabbit. Moments later, Emul returns to normal, explaining that maintaining this form is tiring and that she will transform again as they get closer to the city, as she will only be able to maintain it for 4 to 5 minutes. Reaching Thrash, the guards stop them at the gate, since Sunraku is half naked and it feels suspicious. Emul then starts explaining that Sunraku has a sorrowful past, saying Sunraku is a super warrior who challenged his destined rival from his past life, Lycagon. He ended up inflicted by a curse, unable to escape his destiny, and now he is on a journey to remove the curse. As she keeps talking, the guards stop her, stating that while it's unusual for someone to be dressed half naked, it's not unheard of, and let them pass. Sunraku noticed a pair staring at him, but it didn't feel like the look he usually got from people who thought he was strange. As they entered Thrash, a girl, named Animalia, then stops him and says she recognizes him. A few hours earlier in Secondil, 2 girls took screenshots of Sunraku and Emul. Because they wanted a pet like Emul, they uploaded screenshots to the forum and asked more experienced players how to tame a talking rabbit like this. Most players find Sunraku strange because he is half naked, but they have never heard of a talking animal. One of them states that his patriarch faced Seedworm, the ruler of heaven, who could also speak. Animalia also saw this and wondered if he was cheating since there were only tameable dogs and cats, but another player explained that the game handles cheaters pretty well, so it's unlikely he was cheating. Another player scolded the girls for taking screenshots without Sunraku's permission and states such behavior needs to be reported. Other players are wondering about the tattoo on Sunraku's body because they don't see anything like it in the character creation options. One person explained that he remembered that it was a curse and that you couldn't equip equipment to cursed parts, and an NPC told him that it was proof that the player was acknowledged by the Emperor of the Night, Lycagon the Night Slayer. Lycagon's puppets were noticed around Secondil, so they guessed that he must have somehow encountered Lycagon, but wondered how he got the curse. Orsalot says he is willing to spawn kill Sunraku until he tells them his secrets. Since Orsalot was a leader in the Ashura Kai clan, a clan that specialized in hunting players, some people began to wonder if Sunraku was going to be okay. One player explains that if you kill too many players, when you are killed, you will lose all items, including stored items. Saiger 100 says she wants to talk to Sunraku, and if he reads this, he should please contact a member of his clan with a wolf symbol and a sword, and they will protect him. Back to the present, Animalia asks Sunraku to tell her how to tame a virtual rabbit, as she heard he was seen with a talking rabbit. Sunraku was surprised that she knew about Emul, but he would rather not share information about the special scenario. He also wasn't sure as to how he activated it, so he intended to deny ever seeing a bunny. However, the two were suddenly attacked by Pencilgon, but they managed to evade her blade. Pencilgon then calls Sunraku Revolutionary Knight Sunraku, which makes him realize that she is Pencil Knight from Unite Rounds, another Thrash game. Pencilgon then corrects that in SLF, her name is Arthur Pencilgon, and not Pencil Knight. Sunraku then looks above her head, and notices that she is level 99 and has a player kill icon. Sunraku recognizes Arthur Pencilgon as a Trash gaming friend from Unite Rounds. It is a cooperative MMOVR Trash game, also known by gamers as a post-apocalyptic looting simulator, that aims to simulate a kingdom on the brink of collapse, in which players take on the role of knights, who protects the kingdom from attacking monsters. More true to its concept, the game has a terrible item drop rate, making even simple stones difficult to obtain. The beginner quest, Harvesting Medicinal Herbs, requires 12 hours of plowing in open fields. Therefore, many players decide to simply steal what they need from other players or from NPC shops. In an environment where everyone is an enemy, Pencil Knight rises and takes control of the kingdom. Sunraku and Katsu Tataki decided to confront Pencil Knight, using the rebel army. They managed to sneak into her inner chamber, confronting her. Sunraku tells Emul that he and Pencilgon have a long history. In Unite Round, their fight ended in a draw and both died, but now there was a large gap in level between them in SLF, so she had the advantage. Pencilgon attacks Sunraku, saying she received her punishment and came from 50cia, a high-level city, just so she could kill him. Animalia recognizes Pencilgon as the second in command of the Ashura Kai clan, also known as the Giant Killers. When Sunraku questioned the nickname, Pencilgon explained that she used to ambush and kill high-level players and earned the nickname. Sunraku taunted her by saying she was a giant during the Unite Rounds, but she eventually got herself killed. The two insult each other as they continued to fight, and Pencilgon then explains that she didn't just come for personal reasons. Ashura Kai sent her to deliver a message to Sunraku, to give them info about the unique scenario or else he would be their target, until he provides them the information they want. Sunraku noticed that Pencilgon was preventing him from entering the city, and he guessed it was because it will be quite difficult for a player assassin to get around the city. Pencilgon confirms this and says he won't make it to the door. Meanwhile, Emul is on the verge of losing her transformation, and it is almost impossible to keep it together. Animalia frustratedly watches the two of them fight. She just wanted to ask Sunraku about the rabbit, but because he was fighting Pencilgon, she couldn't. She figured she could ask Emul about it since they were together, but as soon as she touches her, Emul ends up turning back into a rabbit, and this excites Animalia. Seeing this, Sunraku called Emul and they started running towards the door to escape. Animalia asks him to at least let her take a screenshot with the rabbit, but Sunraku says he'll think about it if they survive. Pencilgon then chases Sunraku, but Animalia stands in her way, stating that she isn't concerned about Sunraku, but she cannot allow Pencilgon to hurt the rabbit. Sunraku approaches the door, but then more Ashura Kai members appear. The 4 members of Ashura Kai were not happy about having to kill a low-level player, but they had to obey their boss's orders, nonetheless, so they began attacking Sunraku. Pencilgon is also happy to fight Animalia, as her clan usually isn't concerned with players, so it was a good chance. Animalia uses 5 debuff skills on Pencilgon: Poison, Paralysis, Drain, Exhaustion, and Speed, but Pencilgon reflects them back to Animalia. Affected by these diseases, Animalia has low HP and wonders how Pencilgon managed to reflect the curses. Pencilgon explains that a player-killer shaman kept hunting her, so knowing how scary curses are, she began to carry a karmic straw doll, a consumable item that when used returns all curse for spellcasters. Pencilgon intends to continue watching Animalia die to her own poison, leaving Sunraku to her companions. Ashura Kai members continue to attack Sunraku, but suddenly, a player named Saiger Zero appeared and killed one of them with a single blow. Upon seeing her, the remaining 3 members recognized her as the attack master. This makes Sunraku worry that there might be other strong players pursuing him. Unknown to him, Saiger Zero is Rei, and she is happy to have finally found Sunraku. Before this event, Rei, having trouble finding Sunraku, returns to the SLF and finds that she has a letter from her sister, Saiger 100, who asks her to pause her search for a private player and find a player seen near Secondil talking to a Vorpal rabbit. He was heading towards Thrash, and was equipped with the staring bird mask and bears the mark of Lycagon on his legs and torso, with his name being Sunraku. After finishing reading, Saiger Zero ran at full speed towards Thrash, realizing who it was. Saiger 100 also warned her that other clans such as the Ashura Kai were also looking for him and that she may have to enter a PvP battle. As she got closer, Rei realized that if she saved him from the player killers, it would be natural for her to talk to Sunraku. Pencilgon knew that the 4 members of the Ashura Kai would not be able to kill Sunraku, as she fought him earlier, and it was abundantly clear to her that the skills he learned from playing terrible games were more valuable than items and stats, and were a massive asset in SLF. With Katsu and Sunraku now playing SLF, Pencilgon believes her project at this moment looks much more viable. Pencilgon then sees Saiger Zero, and is happy that she pursued Sunraku, because he had attracted both Zookeeper and Attack Master. Pencilgon prepares to go fight Saiger Zero, but Animalia stops her by saying that the karmic straw doll can only reflect 5 faults, so she wonders if Pencilgon can counter her last trump card. And with that, we conclude this episode.